Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host, Paul James. Today I'm joined by Matto Phillips and special guest, though, at this rate, he's going to very quickly become our third chair, Mr. Jamie Penningh. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How you guys going?
Don't worry about me. I'm here every week.
I ask you the same question every week. It's good.
Every week.
The one week I don't ask is the one week where you're having a horror week and we just ignore it.
Yeah, just carry on. Like nothing's happened. Could be next week where things go catastrophic.
It could be.
With like a nice scoreboard just back there somewhere.
Keeping count of stuff. I don't want... No. We're not talking about anything going horribly wrong next weekend whatsoever. There's no scoreboards. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to have a great weekend. Geelong's going to win the grand final. No one else is going to have any negative stories to talk about. Anyway, moving on. We've got a lot to discuss in this episode. We've got Jamie aboard, and I think anyone who watches this show a little bit, if Jamie appears, we know there's some Nintendo to discuss. We're going to be diving into that shortly because there was an awesome Nintendo Direct last week, especially if you're a fan of farming sims. But before that, there was also a PlayStation State of Play. We're going to go through that one first because it was shorter and there was less titles involved with it before we dive into all things Nintendo.
So we were right. There was a State of Play. We were just a week off.
A week off, and it wasn't the big showcase style thing that we expected it to be. It was still a bit smaller.
I got one. I got one right. I got one of my predictions right.
What was your prediction in the end?
One was the remake of an old game, which technically there is.
Are you about to Do we want to start there then? Because we're not going to go through... I guess people are used to us kind of going through every single game, but because there was like 10 games at PlayStation and another 40 at Nintendo, we're just going to kind of pick and choose what suits us today. Are you talking about Yakuza or Like a Dragon as it's now?
Like a Dragon.
Ishin,
yes.
Yeah,
I just looked at it.
Game.
Yeah, I just looked at it and thought, oh, great. Another Yakuza game I've got to try and get through.
One day I'll get started on these things.
Okay, so I've still got to play 0, 6, 7, Judgment, Lost Judgment.
Oh, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well.
I've done them.
No, I know you've been motoring.
I know you. So that's for you. That's 11. That's 11 games you got to get through. Good luck with that.
It's as bad as trying to take on
2023. In 2023, dreaming.
Yeah, I don't think next year's the year for me. What do you think? Were you a fan of it because you've now just become a big fan of Yakuza or Like a Dragon, I guess is we're now calling it. But or is it just, was there something about that trailer that you was really talking to you?
I think it's just the Yakuza series because I just saw that the Kiryu, or that is the main character from the Yakuza games. I just saw his face. I gone, hey, it's you in a different time.
Yeah, that's fair.
And all the other people as well. They go, hey, you're there, and you're there. I thought, I'm going to have a fun time with samurai swords and revolvers.
Are you aware of the fact that they announced 2 other Yakuza games this week?
I was aware. There's Yakuza 8 as well. I did hear that. I thought, oh, man, that's 12. That's 12 games you got to try and get through.
And one more, whatever that one was. I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not...
Probably another. I think it might be another Judgment game, possibly. I thought
they were all Like a Dragon ones, but anyway. Jamie, what do you think of all things Like a Dragon, Yakuza, whatever? Is that anything for you at all?
No, not really. It's sort of, I haven't had any experience with any of the Yakuzas, so it looked. There seemed to be a lot of feudal Japan samurai sort of games in this State of Play. So it's sort of, they all just melded into one another, and so it just sort of felt like the same as the rest of them.
Which, I mean, I get it, because this was a stream that was kind of linked into Tokyo Game Show, and so you're going to naturally get that Japanese sort of flair. But you're right, there was a lot of on there as well, because we had things like, did anyone take a liking to the other kind of, again, feudal Japan sort of set game there, Rise of the Ronin from Team
Ninja?
Team Ninja, thank you.
Yes, I saw that. I thought, why now? Why? Ghost of Tsushima does it, and then everyone thinks, oh, hey, it works. Let's all get on board. Assassin's Creed goes there. We got... Was there 2 by Team Ninja? Was there one on Xbox as well?
So that
the Wu one?
Yeah, Wolong Fallen Dynasty was announced at Xbox during the old E3 slot. It is coming to PlayStation as well, but it's weird. The whole timing of the thing was weird because they announced Rise of the Ronin, but at the same time, the Wolong Fallen Dynasty demo has gone available for people to access as well. So I mean, like, if you're Team Ninja, you're getting a lot of publicity right now. But it was a weird time to announce the game, considering you then had like a demo, like a kind of promotional beat planned for your other title that you're working on as well. Looks good though, but I thought it was a bit weird when you kind of combine all those pieces of information together.
It is 2024 though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so
Wolong's
it is
next
quite.
year, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it gets delayed into 25 or something like that.
Honestly, I've never been so relieved to see the worst 2024 in a game release in my life.
It won't be 24. It'll be 25.
24. If it goes to 25, that's even better. I'm just thinking, oh, good. Just another game that's not in 2023 that somehow I've got to play all of them.
If we can stop releasing games in 2023, what we've got in Q1, Q2 next year is enough for the rest of the year, thanks. And we'll get to some of those big hitters soon enough. But yeah, I'm with you. 2024 is not a bad thing. I'm pretty happy to kind of look at that one a bit further out. And I'm kind of keen to check out the Wolong demo. I want to see if it's a bit more which side of the fence it's on, whether it's more like Neo and Souls, or if it's more like what they'd done with Ninja Gaiden when they brought all those 3 games back. So that'll be interesting as well. Were there any other games that kind of took people's fancy?
Sinduality looked
that's
quite.
the Bandai Namco game, isn't it?
Yeah. I was sort of, because I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So it's looks very much open world. It's got a mech style that seems to have like a link between like the main character and their partner, and it seems like they need to keep together to survive or something like that. And it looks really nice.
I could have it wrong, but I've seen or heard comments after the fact that it may, battle against enemies and other players, PvPvE. So it might actually be more that.
Oh, that game.
shared
Is that the one?
world
Was that the
style
one with
experience.
the? Was that the one with the dinosaurs with rain coming out of the clouds, or not the
No,
clouds?
no,
It was
that
like
was
just a whole heap of.
Exo Primal. That was the Capcom game.
Oh, okay, I was just saying. All I remember is dinosaurs falling off. It was a waterfall of dinosaurs, actually. I don't know why, but it was just weird.
Yeah,
apparently that one had a show in the last couple of days, and apparently is looking fantastic. I haven't checked out the footage yet, but yeah, this is apparently PvPvE. So that I don't know if that has any bearing. I looked at the trailer and thought the same as you, though, Jamie. I'll admit, I looked at that and thought, oh yeah, this looks like a really cool single player that I can 100% get into.
Yeah, it looked like a JRPG, really, but it looks.
Maybe not.
If from that description, it sounds like it's more a MMORPG or something to that effect.
Yeah, might be that somewhere in the middle, which, I mean, could still be interesting, but I then instantly think about the time commitment and the fact that it is scheduled to come out in 2023, and I think, nah, let's pass on that one, at least for now. But I'm with you, and I guess it's not too late for him to pivot and go back to a single player game. I hope, like, just cut that shit off, just turn it off. That's right, no need. But I'm with you, like, as a game still itself, it looks really, really good. So hopefully that sort of feeling that we get from the trailer can still translate across to the online side of things. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Were there any others at all?
Yeah, I had one at Pacific Drive.
Oh,
That's
this was
fascinating.
weird.
It is what do you call it? A survival game in the family car or the family station wagon. That's the way I look
It's
at
a
it.
driving survival game, so it's a drivival game.
Survival
Drivival.
in the family station wagon, as I look at it.
Yeah, I'm like, what was this game to start with? I could not pick what it was, and it's just like, yeah, okay.
I'm kind of into it, but I'm concerned because I think the trailer only depicts first-person driving, doesn't it? Now, I'm not a big driving game fan. I'm not a big driving game fan, and I'm even worse when I have to play those driving games in a first-person perspective. So unless they give me a third-person ability to crank that camera back and do it that way, then I'm guaranteed out because I just can't handle the car from that perspective.
Can't handle the car. Just can't.
So forget the survival. Forget any horror that might come with it. I just won't be able to drive. I'll just be taken on trees everywhere. It'll be like
surely you'd have to have a third person. No one drives in the first person perspective in cars anymore.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
The hardcore people do for their GTAs or Forzas or whatever, but
That's
yeah,
for
for the most,
losers.
Or
they
for
are the minority.
simulated drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be more their thing. The first
I mean,
person.
no, even like the truck simulated drivers, they do it on third person as well. I've seen.
That's
But
because
I
you
don't
want to see
know.
those. You want to see those big doubles fishtailing down the road
There you go.
and see what
That's-
carnage you
that's
can
what you
create
want.
afterwards. But yeah, it was a really interesting game. Jamie, I think you were going to go describe a game as well. Or were you going to be talking about the same
Yeah. What was Stellar Blade?
one? Oh yeah,
Yeah, Stellar Blade, which was formerly Project Eve.
Eve.
Now, yeah, that I gather that's like a hack and slash sort of. Yeah.
Bayonetta DMC style.
Yeah.
Thing.
So it looks nice. Like it looks like a big world. It's got like the hack and slash of a Bayonetta or an Astral Chain or even a Nier
Yeah.
sort of style. So it looks really really good.
And PlayStation have locked it down as an exclusive, which I'm sure Xbox must love at the moment, considering all the hypocritical comments that are being thrown back and forth at the moment. But
They could just say, "Hey, we got this as exclusive." And all Xbox has to say is, "We've got COD." One.
Yeah.
Like Jim Ryan will be on the ground just in a tantrum, like when a kid doesn't get a lolly at the supermarket, going, "What this?" That is Jim Ryan right now.
Jim, you thought the deal wasn't satisfactory before? Well, guess what? Now you're not getting it at all. As Phil Spencer walks off, explosion behind him, all that sort of stuff. I was kind of into some of the VR stuff that was going on, because I'll be day one PSVR 2 next year. But for me, and probably unsurprising for anyone and everyone watching, God of War.
Star Wars. Oh, God of War.
God of War was the big one. Once they did it well, because I mean the time of the show was 8 o'clock in the morning. I would normally be leaving for work at about 8:15. This stream was going to go beyond that, so I'm like, oh, this is starting to get tight. As soon as I saw that little, because they announced the God of War themed controller first, I'm like, okay, there's a trailer coming after this. This is not like, because I knew they had 10 games beforehand. I'm like, okay, whatever this is going to be last. I saw the God of War controller. I'm like, okay, it's got to be God of War then. They're not going to go, here's a controller. Now, let's kick it over to Sackboy. It was always going to be God of War at that point, and I had kids running around in the room, and also like, get out, like use the control being shown off to push them all into the other part of the house, close the doors. Wife, I need you to look after the kids. I need 2 minutes. And myself, Kratos, and Atreus had a great time.
I didn't watch it.
Cannot wait for that game.
I did not watch the trailer.
Is that you showing restraint and discipline? Or
Yes.
'cause you haven't played the
Yes, it is. Because I played the original one, so I don't want anything ruined for me. I don't want to see Kratos and Boy getting along. I want to understand the story of when Kratos and Boy didn't get along first.
So that controller being aired for you was probably a good thing then, because it means
I didn't see it. I didn't
Oh,
see
you
the
watched it
controller. I just saw Kratos' head. I was like, no, that's it. No more.
That's fair. Jamie, do you have any thoughts on God of War or the VR stuff at all?
The God of War looks fantastic. I've never really looked into the series myself because I've never had access to it, but it's funny hearing Chris Judge, because I'm used to hearing, because I used to watch Stargate all the time, that I just hear his voice and I'm just thinking Teal'c, and then it's like it looks similar to Teal'c, but it just, the way that it looks, and it wasn't all cinematic, it was gameplay too. They said that's definitely going to be looks to be a game of the year contender for sure, just based on how it looks and how the action seems to be played.
Yeah. I can't wait till it knocks Elden Ring off its perch at the end of the year.
I'm saying, is this like the first God of War trailer that has had zero complaints by those silly little fanboys blaming the two people at Santa Monica Studios?
That they actually know.
That they actually know, yes, that is correct. I haven't heard anything.
I mean, people have been happy with what had been shown up to that point. They were unhappy with how little was being shown, whereas this kind of shut them all up, because it gave them their story context, it gave them some gameplay that's on top of what Game Informer has been showing with little spices of gameplay, but none of it, like the stuff Game Informer had been showing was kind of from regions that we mostly knew about already, that had kind of been shown in other ways, shapes, or forms
Oh,
before.
you mean
through
like
screenshots
the
or whatever.
same animations of getting into
Oh yeah,
a
getting
boat.
into a boat. Yeah, same anime.
But like we said, no one complains about the covers from the first and the second one because they're exactly the same in winter uniform.
I can't believe Kratos is using the same axe. You're right, Chat.
Righto. What?
Yeah,
What?
no complaints from anyone as far as what I've seen or heard. And they're thrilled that the release date hasn't changed, and so am I. November 9. If we could just skip there now, that'd be fantastic. Any other thoughts on anything from the PlayStation State of Play before we shift over to Nintendo? Tekken 8 for anyone? What else is on the list? I guess
I didn't even know there was like eight games. I only know of 2, 3, and kind of forgot about the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's a Tekken game. They said Tekken 8. I was like, well, where's the other 4? Like, I haven't even heard of them.
How did we get here?
There's been 11 Mortal Kombat games. There's more than 11 Mortal Kombat games. There's lots.
Yeah, probably 20.
20.
Jamie, any
2
others?
Killer Instinct games.
Yeah, no, Tekken 8, it looked very over the top for just a fighting, 3D fighting game.
Well, that's probably
yeah, I've never had that much experience with the series either. The whole cinematic, just it looked very, very stylized, very over the top. But I think that's supposed to be the way it is.
Is this just simply a case now, and it's the same with any fighting game that probably isn't Smash / multiverses, like the more traditional fighting games, I guess, where like now anyone who's presenting their new game almost needs to try and show like, hey, you can take us seriously, like more seriously than just an arcade mode and there's a narrative here. Look, we're doing stuff with it. It's just not the same old shit that you've been playing for 20 years. I feel like that's almost kind of where we're at. So when it comes to these trailers, when they're debuting these things off, they're trying to show off not just visual fidelity, which is what fighters kind of thrive on, a bit like racing games, but also that like you can take it seriously. Like there's more to us than just what you've known for decades. Like we've got a story here. It's going to be impactful. You're going to care about these characters, and we never do. But like I feel like that's kind of the vibe they're going for.
Well, but if it's not Mortal Kombat just give you a close-up look of what ribs you're going to crack or what someone's skull's going to be looking like afterwards with the big uppercuts. That Tekken 8 one was just like a PG rating shown compared to Mortal Kombat where you just rip out people's spines for just no reason whatsoever.
No apparent reason.
No apparent reason.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not big on the fighting scene outside of your Smash and multiverses style experiences, so maybe it's just something I'll never totally connect with on my end.
If they make another Soul Calibur, I'll be interested, but because that's sort of what I played. I played Soul Calibur 2 and was always interested in the Soul Calibur series.
As soon as Link appeared, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Yoda for a second, but that was the PS2 version.
That's 4.
That's 4?
Yeah.
Well, who the hell was in 2 then? I know Link was in 2. I don't.
Link, Heihachi, and Spawn. I think Spawn was Xbox. Heihachi was
PlayStation, and then
PlayStation, and Link was Nintendo.
Nintendo 100% got the best deal there.
Yeah.
And speaking of Nintendo, let's jump across to the State of Play. Again, we're just going to kind of throw it wide open and not go through the entire roster of games because there was an insane number of them. With one particular title that we've already discussed, we'll save till last. Where do we want to begin? Jamie, you're our resident Nintendo expert of the three of us here, so maybe you should kind of kick things off with whatever game really, I guess, caught your eye the most outside of presumably the game that we're going to discuss last.
So there were a few. If you were watching this and you're a lover of farming sims, 20 out of 10, fantastic direct.
And about 30 out of 40 minutes too.
Yeah, that's it. But the thing that really caught me up was Octopath Traveler 2. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I welled up watching that. It just looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like it's going for a more industrial sort of feel, more steampunk sort of vibe with the HD 2D, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm real real big on that. I love the first one. I'm still very excited, waiting for the original to one day come to PlayStation, because now it's even weirder that they've announced this one for PlayStation as well, but it's not. But the original isn't there. Meanwhile, they released the first on Game Pass, but then they haven't announced the sequel for Xbox. So it's all a bit weird what Square Enix is doing at the moment. But yeah, I mean, setting that aside, yeah, the game itself is looking fantastic, and the release date, and I guess when we combine that with several other announcements that came from this same direct, the release date is very interesting, February 24th.
Yeah, it's gonna be in there with a lot of other games. Like the Q1 for next year is absolutely packed now, with now Nintendo's side sort of filling in with Fire Emblem Engage and Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe, as well as a couple others there as well, just in January and February alone.
Well, I mean, that particular one is really interesting because Nintendo have kind of got yes, it's going to come to PlayStation, the sequel, but like clearly Nintendo is going to be the primary platform for most people because they played it there, and if you're a PlayStation fan, again, the first one, and maybe that'll change between now and February. In fact, I'd almost put money on the fact that it will. But at the moment, the first game isn't on PlayStation, so the default audience is going to be for Switch. I think most people will try and follow it through, I guess, for want of a better phrase. The thing that's really interesting, and I guess this connects to some other games that were all announced during the thing, is that February 24th, and I saw the look on your face, Matto, because I think you're going through it. What the fuck's so important about February 24th? Nothing, except for the fact that like this is a Nintendo exclusive, like a sequel to a very high-profile Nintendo exclusive that is coming out the same day as a Kirby game that Nintendo's putting out as well as the Atelier Ryza 3 game that Nintendo announced at the Direct as well. Like, they announced 3 brand new games during this Direct that are all coming on the exact same date.
On the same day.
I didn't realise they were the same day.
But
there's like Kirby and I mean Atelier, like that's a very specific audience. If you're into your like ultra weeby JRPGs, then great. Personally, I won't be there though. This one did look kind of good, but yeah, Nintendo is going head to head with a sequel to a very quite acclaimed Nintendo exclusive in the first place, and they're going same day.
Nintendo's just going head to head with themselves for no reason whatsoever.
Kind of, yeah. Obviously, Square Enix is the publisher, but yeah, they're kind of still going head to head with themselves to a degree.
And Square Enix just announced that Octopath Traveler, the original, just did 3 million in sales.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that good? It's been very successful for them.
Yeah, for a game like that, 3 million is a great number.
Guardians of the Galaxy, no good.
Oh, yeah, right. Tomb Raider sells 20 million copies, but we can't stand that. We better sell the company.
Final Fantasy, 50 million, that's great, but Guardians of the Galaxy, not good enough.
Sorry, Octopath, they're happy with 3 million.
3 million, great. But yeah, I can understand why, because it's not
the scope. It doesn't cost
the scope of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 million for a Switch, for a previously Switch exclusive. That's pretty up there with probably top 30 best-selling Switch games.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not comparing it with Animal Crossing just for no reason whatsoever, just because it's on the Switch.
Well, yeah. I know I kind of threw it open. Jamie, I know you there's probably a few other games you want to talk about. Maybe it's this one as well. But considering we've already connected the 2 games already, did anyone have any specific thoughts on Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe?
No.
I never played the Wii version because apparently it was on Wii. It was a very late Wii game, and
it was alright.
Yeah,
my memory was it was decent.
Yeah, but like I showed the kids and they really like it, so
guaranteed.
It'll appeal to the younger audience for sure.
I mean, that Kirby momentum's just building between 2 games already this year. An announcement of a third that for the longest time I thought, oh my god, they're going to drop another one this year. Slipped into February 24th, but
it is the 30th anniversary of Kirby though, so they want to go all out for it.
They didn't give that love to Luigi.
No, but that was 35th. That was 35th, and they didn't care.
Here, have some DLC to New Super Mario Brothers U. Peace out. Oh no, Luigi's Mansion 2 came out that year as well. I think.
On DS.
On the 3DS, yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. So what about Samus as well? No one cares about Samus.
No one cares about Metroid over there, apparently.
No, care less about Metroid. I do. I care about Metroid.
I care about
That's
Metroid.
Did we all notice, and this is a game that I didn't necessarily think we were going to talk overly much about, but did we all notice the little thing that popped up in the GoldenEye trailer?
Yeah, so the online play is exclusive to Switch.
That's not what I was referring to.
Oh, okay. I'm trying
Just
to think.
connects just connects our last conversation, and I don't mean Kirby. I mean the most recent part of conversation about Samus, Metroid. Oh, you'll have to watch the trailer back. In the top left corner.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I saw the icon. Yeah, the Samus icon.
like,
They use that
Why are
icon
you
for
doing
every
this?
single. They use that icon for every single Nintendo 64 reveal.
Oh, have
So
they? Oh.
that
Oh, what a
doesn't say
letdown.
anything.
Damn.
I can't believe everyone was reading into that. It's like they've used that for every reveal. It's like
Not a Mario head?
No, it's never. I
can't say
think
that.
once it's been like Mario and Yoshi, like that icon, but I think the last few have been the Metroid logo.
Oh, that's.
Oh,
true.
there you go.
I can't say that I've noticed that before, so I just kind of
So that
Well,
theory's been
of course.
debunked.
go on. I mean, Metroid Prime 4. Good luck when we see you in 2030.
26.
That's fine. I'm sure not many games will be coming out then. All right. Well, then quickly moving away from GoldenEye, Matto, I'll throw it over to you because we've not given you the platform to talk about any of the games that you took a fancy to just yet. Anything in particular?
Well, we're going back to GoldenEye because it was the
Oh,
Switch
okay.
Online.
Yes.
What do you call them? Add-ons, expansions, whatever they're
Yeah.
called. So Mario Party, which is kind of an interesting one because didn't they release a Mario Party game with all like the game,
The
all
best
like
of them, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Best
like
of
bits
them.
and pieces. Yeah.
bits and pieces? But the interesting one for me is going to be Pokemon Stadium because
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, you could bring your Pokemon from your Game Boy games into the game.
And if
Yes.
you
'Cause
look at the
I remember
thumbnail for the video,
very,
it even
very
shows
well.
the box art with the
Oh, yeah,
Transfer
that's
pack.
true. I just see that
transfer
now.
packs built into it.
Transfer
So, like,
pack.
You're not even like you're either not thinking about this like you need to, or they actually have some sort of plan, which would be fascinating.
It would be because I remember those Pokemon that you just got given. They were rubbish. Probably the worst moves possible.
Yeah, it was
That made
always they had-
absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, they had to balance it so that the strong ones had weak moves, the weak ones had strong moves. They had to balance it out so that
It wasn't even that. It was just like weird, odd moves. Like someone would have Thundershock for no reason. It's like a Clefairy or something just had Thundershock for
Oh,
no
but
reason. You're like, what do you
normal-
got that for? Like
normal
you don't
Gen 1
need that.
types. Yeah, they just learned everything, pretty much.
Yeah,
But
just
yeah,
kitchen synced it.
but there was the line in the trailers that said Pokemon cannot be transferred to these games. So at the moment, there's no sort of inkling that there's going to be the ability to transfer anything, which makes sense because then they have to do a whole restructure of Pokemon Home for simply Generation 1 and Gen 2 when they bring Stadium 2 along. So it's going to be purely rentals that you can use, and as well as the mini games. So a lot of people were up in arms about that, thinking, "Oh, we can bring our Pokemon over," and it's like, no. That's why
I didn't think that at all. I just thought, how the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah,
Get a
exactly.
little cartridge. Are they going to put like the little transfer thing as your Switch Online exclusive for members?
It'll be interesting if they eventually bring Game Boy games to NSO, that they could link them up that way
Just
to
as our
some
very first
degree.
chat.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting if they could find a way to do that, because Nintendo's obviously not well known for their online and the compatibility in that sort of space. So obviously they're doing a decent job when it comes to some of these classics and some of the online functionality. Jamie, you've proved it several times with the Donkey Kong, for example, and playing online with the likes of myself or Buddy or others over the journey. But and that's really cool stuff that they've retroactively built in. But it's not their strength typically.
And like Mario Party 3, that's the first time that it's been released outside of its cartridge. So it never came to Wii Virtual Console, Wii U Virtual Console. So it'll be the first time that we get to play that since it was released on 64.
But of course, we all get to play the best one, which is Mario Party 2.
Yeah, 2's
Right?
great.
Of course.
And it is interesting, Matto. You obviously made the comment before. Yeah, there was that kind of bundle. I've forgotten which one it was called now because they've kind of gone to this well a couple of times. But the one from a year or two ago, that compiled like a lot of the best from that era. So I guess like look at the positives. You can either play that new version that came out, or you can play those exact same mini games, but also with the shit ones that they chose. They didn't want to pick.
Or you can play the. So how do you row your boat by yourself again with your stupid computer player that doesn't know how to row?
Yeah, play with friends.
Worst.
Play with friends. Were there any others that you wanted to touch on before? I think I've got about 3 personally that I was just foaming at the mouth over.
Well, I'll go one more.
Go for it.
It's not the one you're thinking about with the T-shirt. It's not that one. Master Detective.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing I like.
Yeah, Rain
Yeah,
Code.
that's the one. Yeah, nothing I like more than a good old detective game trying to solve crimes.
Well,
It is weird Japanese style thing of just having small young people as detectives, which is it's weird. It's a Japanese thing. I don't get it.
But the game still looks cool to you.
The game still looks cool. Even with the weird ghost thing that haunts you for some reason. I don't know why.
It comes from the people responsible for the Danganronpa games, which have been pretty popular, sort of, what would we even call them? Kind of investigation, but also kind of somewhat visual novel-y. I feel like I'm not doing these games justice if I try to describe them, because I haven't actually played them, so I'm only kind of building this based on things I've heard over the years. But like they're very popular games anyway, and very well received, so I'm sure this one will be pretty good. Was there a release date, or did they just announce it?
I feel like there was a 2023 onto it. I just thought, oh man. Hey, let me just where is it?
I don't remember a date at all.
Yeah, I don't think there was a date. I think it was just next year.
For me, as I mentioned, there was kind of 3 games in particular that I was really foaming at the mouth over. The first is a game that would surprise. Oh, was there a date?
Spring 2023, whenever the hell that is.
So that'll probably be
autumn. So yeah.
Oh god.
March to May. Unless you're watching that on like the Nintendo Europe channel, at which point they might like, oh no, their springs will still, they're still northern.
Yeah,
it's just autumn. Yeah. Sorry, it's because they use autumn versus fall that just threw me off for a second. Yeah, probably not surprising anyone who watches this show or has consumed any of my stuff anywhere in the past. Pikmin 4 was my number 1 game from this show, even though they didn't show a hell of a lot. And it is just slated for 2023. I presume the back half of the year, based on that. Especially given the game that we'll talk about last that is going to be coming in the midst of all the Q1 and 2 craziness. Yeah, Pikmin 4, I love everything about the Pikmin games, and Pikmin 3 is the ultimate version of that franchise so far. Pikmin Bloom we don't talk about, but Miyamoto did.
He talked a lot about it.
He was really trying to sell it, and I was just like, nah, I'm not interested. I've got a thing called a Fitbit. It tells me how many steps I've done. That's all I need to know. I don't need to go hunt little plant monster things and give them sap and feed them.
Yeah, the hook is just not the same as Pokemon Go.
As I say, I'd rather just get a Tamagotchi because then I don't have to do as much. It just dies after 7 days, so I can start again.
Yeah, the hook, like I get what Niantic were going for, but it's just not the same as Pokemon Go. There's not enough to it.
But is it better?
I gave it about a week, and I was pretty happy to move on by the end of that week.
But do you think it'd be better than that silly Marvel one that we didn't really talk about last week?
Yeah, there was that Marvel one.
Yeah, we skipped it. We didn't even care about it. It's like, you asked
we'll
me, do you care about that Marvel mobile game? Like, nope. They're like, good. That was it.
I don't know. I feel like there's probably more you can do with the Marvel one because like the Pikmin don't really do anything. Like you send them off to go collect sap or whatever and bring that back, and that helps them kind of their little buds pop. But that's about it. You don't have the Pokemon style battling. You don't have any of those sort of things. And I could see, pulling in Marvel characters, you could probably lean into some of that sort of stuff a little bit. Not catching them, but like using them to fight or something like that. I think there's those possibilities. So I don't know. Niantic is just attaching themselves to licenses wherever they can, and good luck to them. But Pikmin 4, Just get in my life already. Again, we don't know a hell of a lot about it. I'm
But it
really
actually
excited
exists.
Yeah.
I think you're just excited to see the trailer. I just looked at the trailer and gone, my God, that is a big park bench. That's
It was a
all
very
I
big
saw.
park bench.
It was huge. It's like, is this a Honey I Shrunk the Kids situation? It's just a massive picket fence, park bench, a watch.
Yeah.
Now I'm just
world
curious
fans.
now I'm just curious to figure out, like, is that also in other games? Because then I'm starting to think there's massive tin cans as well in previous Pikmin games.
Oh yeah, no,
that
I think they're
I
100%.
didn't pay attention to.
I mean, you see the size of the fruit in those games. Like, don't worry. That like,
Oh yeah.
if
like,
there was
that
a
was
park bench in Pikmin 3, it would have been
No.
that big.
No, don't say that. I was going to
Um,
say something really, really not nice.
Yeah, we'll dodge that one then.
It was going to involve a banana.
Yeah, of
But
course.
that's all we'll leave it at.
Moving on. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it, but we'll wait and see when it comes out. I just want to learn what inevitably the new Pikmin are that they're going to introduce. They brought in the rock and the flying one into Pikmin 3.
Oh, sorry. When you said The Rock, I just thought, Dwayne?
Yeah, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Yeah, I'm here to pick up your oranges and bananas, and no more jokes about bananas. Moving on. So yeah, I mean, from there, Fire Emblem Engage. We need Damo here for this because he'll be losing his mind over Fire Emblem. But I've been rapidly becoming a fan since Awakening, like a lot of people have been, and this is looking really, really cool. And it's kind of kicking the year off for Nintendo. In fact, I think it's kicking the year off overall in the end because it's coming out just before the Forspokens and the Dead Spaces of the world. Nintendo are getting in first next year.
Yeah,
Smart. Very smart.
And it looks great, and it's harking back to like all the previous Fire Emblem games. You could see from the circle that they had at the beginning. They actually, I saw a post somewhere that it actually lines up with all the different previous games and all the protagonists from all that series, starting with Marth from Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, all the way around to Fire Emblem Three Houses with Byleth.
I'll have to rewatch the trailer. There was a few of those things that I was kind of frantically losing my mind over the thing that I didn't actually pay close enough attention to it outside of seeing Marth because they really put Marth front and center.
I originally thought it was going to be a Shadow Dragon remake because they remade it on the DS because of Marth and the Fell Dragon, and then it's like, oh no, it's something completely different. And it looks like it's harkening back to the old sort of style, like Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, with the maps and just the menus and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's really picking up on some of the old sort of mechanics and bringing them to a new light.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree with all that. They're doing some really, really cool things with it, and it's just another Fire Emblem to consume, and I'm pretty excited for that. And the last thing for me was a game that we already kind of knew about. It was announced back in June, thanks to Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core, the remaster, remake, kind of somewhere in the middle. It got a December 13 release date, so I'm just excited that I'll be getting to play that this year.
Oh, you didn't care about the Guitar Hero style Final Fantasy one?
Oh, Theater Rhythm? No, I'm pretty...
Yeah, with 800 songs. That's a lot of songs. I was thinking, what? That is... It's like
It's a lot of
800 songs. Like, how the hell are you going to remember? I remember this song from 800 of them.
Because you only played the same 5 or 6 to master them.
So it's like an AC/DC song.
Yeah.
Sorry, AC/DC fans, if they're not listening.
Anyone's offended by the fact that you've suggested their music is the same. But yeah, they were kind of the big three for me. It was nice to see things like Sifu get announced for the Switch, which is a really good get considering that's been locked out as exclusive with Nintendo since February. Though I'll admit, it looked pretty rough in comparison. Like, you could see the downgrade that was required to bring it across, like the visual downgrade, I should say.
It always does. Required. It's exactly the same with the Resident Evil games too. You just look at it and go,
See, I didn't see it as much with those, but that's because they're cloud versions. Like, they can draw upon the internet there to kind of do the bulk of the lifting, and then it's just and it's on if you've got an OLED, like you're running on an OLED screen, it should look fantastic.
And apparently these versions can actually be played here in certain parts of Australia. Like they were saying, Sydney and Melbourne.
What? That's unheard of. Cloud gaming in Australia? No.
Yeah, apparently Sydney and Melbourne as mentioned as
two cities.
places.
pretty sure I
Oh.
saw Drew. I'm just quickly.
Yeah,
checking
I
through
saw
at
that
the
too. He was downloading it or something, or playing it, or it was on the
I'm sure it was
store.
Resident Evil or something. He tweeted out about it almost immediately afterwards. Where are we? Come on, keep scrolling. Stop putting out so much content, Drew. You're doing such a great job. And there it is.
Gosh darn it, Drew.
It was a gameplay demo for Village that was available for him as a free download. This game uses cloud streaming. Testing using this free demo is required for purchasing full blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because you have to try it before you can actually buy it. Test to see if your internet connection works.
That's a very good gesture by Nintendo.
I think that's been with all the games actually, since they started with Control. But that was sort of only in the US and Japan, really.
Where there was never really a concern about the internet or the streaming capacity for most parts of the US, and certainly not in Japan. Cycling back around to you, Jamie, were there any other games that you wanted to discuss before we get to the big one?
I'm just trying to think, because I think you might have covered the majority of them. But
you don't have a love of farming sims at all?
Well, I've heard that Harvestella is going to be more like dungeon exploring, and that the farming element is actually a sort of not afterthought, but it's not the full focus. So that's probably the escape out of them. But I thought you would have been keen on the Harvest Moon remake.
Yeah, no, I am keen on Story of Seasons. A Wonderful Life is when like the first game that went 3D, so there's a lot of rough edges on it because they're kind of learning their way with it. So I'm curious to kind of see what they do. I'll absolutely be all over it when it comes out again, 2023. But Matto's eye roll every single time we talk.
Just the word 2023 just hurts my brain.
Yeah, it's
just
traumatic.
Come in 2023. It's like no, don't come 2023. No.
See, I'm lucky. I just pick and choose what I want to play, and I'm not fully invested in all these other ones.
I'm starting to regret buying a PS5. I really am.
Don't regret it.
Like I've got Xenoblade till the end of the year, pretty much, and then I'll get Pokemon at Christmas, and then hopefully after that I can get Octopath Traveler. And
I would advise, and just quickly jump into a small fry one there. I would advise you jump on Tunic though when it comes out in about a week or two for the Switch. It's coming to PlayStation and Nintendo on the same day in about a week and a half from now. So, especially since you've got your massive love of Zelda, that kind of Link to the Past era Zelda is. Oh, it's just chock full of it in Tunic, so you'll have a great time with it.
Especially that whole gaming manual mechanic. It's very much a Nintendo sort of thing, and it's a good thing that it is coming to Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to interview the guy like 7 years ago or something like that, and he was talking about exactly how those sorts of things really inspired it. So I didn't realize that like the manual thing was what he was referring to at the time. Maybe he didn't even know what it was going to entail at that point. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Any others at all?
I'll say Mario Kart 8. I kind of forgot about the waves. It's like when it said Wave 3, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about them.
6 or was it 8 that they were doing?
It's 6.
6.
Because it's 8 tracks per every 8 tracks per wave.
That's right. Yeah.
Till like 2024 or something.
Yeah, end of next year. So, but we did get a few DLC announcements too, like golf for Nintendo Switch Sports.
Xenoblade
that did look
3.
really nice.
Yeah.
Splatfest stuff that they were talking about. Strikers. And Strikers needs as much support as possible since it kind of, as awesome as the game was, and I really stand by my review, it was still kind of light on for stuff, and the support has been a little bit slow so far.
Yeah, it's verging on dead in the water, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Any other games that either of you want to shout out at all?
I don't think so.
I'll quickly shout out my excitement for Tales of Symphonia being remastered. That's going to come out early 2023.
That was the GameCube remaster?
That was the GameCube remaster, yeah. Which is not necessarily going to be running all that well. I think it's going to be coming in at 30 FPS, and the people talking about it looking a little bit rough in that sense. But yeah, anyway.
Funnily enough, I think everyone was saying that the original ran at 60.
Yeah, so, it sounds like this might be running worse than the game that came out 15 years ago, or whatever it was.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But
Oh,
It'll
wait.
um.
We had 60 frames a second 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh yeah,
no one was talking about it.
You played F-Zero GX? Jeez, that was 60 frames a second.
If that was 30, you'd damn near die.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. The big one that is going to, who knows, maybe split the conversation. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, or Breath of the Wild 2, as some people might still know it as. Tears of the Kingdom. Wait, actually, I think there was some clarification. Was it?
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
is
it was Tears.
Tears.
It is Tears. Yeah, not
It is
Tears. 'Cause I know
Tears.
people were. I was on the boat, the Tears bandwagon, simply because we've kind of seen that raindrop style thing mechanic in the past, and so I was like, yeah, Tears, like a teardrop style thing. But I did see there was an article coming out there, but then I didn't read it, so I wasn't sure what the upshot was.
Yeah, no, they clarified that.
Jamie, you should be the one to get this ball rolling because obviously we are noted, not for our love of Breath of the Wild. So what did you make of what we saw in the trailer? Outside of the May 12 release date, which is obviously huge.
Yeah. So we got May 12, so that's going to be very interesting. It's quite an interesting release date, really, because it's sort of not in the middle of nowhere, but it's still, sort of getting towards midway through the year.
Yeah.
But the actual trailer itself, like, I thought the introduction was very
Don't
interesting.
stick any lower, Matto. You might fall out of the shot.
Just for context, yeah, Matto is like slowly falling
audio
down.
people just drifting out of the shot.
But it's interesting. It hints maybe there might be dungeons coming back with the tiers sort of around the sort of idol sort of thing that was on the tablets, and so it could be hinting towards that. There's a traversal mechanic between going up and stuff into the sky and back down. We haven't really seen much of the old Hyrule because we're thinking that it's going to be like the original. I think they're trying to focus more on the differences rather than the sameness. The similarities between the two games. They didn't show a whole lot. They showed a lot of traversal, but it's going to be very interesting how it lives up to the original, because it's a tough ask. There was a lot of people that highly regard the original game that came out in 2017.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Matto and I are in a minority when it comes to Breath of the Wild. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a huge act to follow. Not dissimilar to what God of War's about to face in a month or two. Like, to be able to follow up from God of War 2018 and the acclaim that game has. Like, there's a lot of people who will come out and say that's their game of the generation, alongside those that will say the same about Breath of the Wild or The Witcher or something like that. Like, it's right up there in that absolute top end ballpark. So we can see how it goes for God of War, and then try and extrapolate a little bit for Tears of the Kingdom when it comes out later on. I am with you though. That teardrop thing that they were kind of, it's I could be reading too much into it. I could be trying to be hopeful, considering that obviously I wasn't a fan of kind of the way they chose to deliver Breath of the Wild. If dungeons come back, that alleviates a lot of my issues. Yeah, I don't like weapon degradation. The stamina was a bit frustrating. That was certainly a lesser issue. The weapon degradation was my main complaint, but of those two. But yeah, not having the dungeons was kind of what, for me, took away the Zelda-ness of it, and what and Matto and I have spoken about in past episodes. Like, I think we both kind of need to. Well, no, actually, you've gone back and replayed at this point, haven't you? Your opinion didn't change. Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah, never changed.
For me, I still want to go back and see if I can check my expectations of a Zelda game at the door and play it and try and appreciate it for what it is, because I think that was one of the big obstacles for me when I played it. Was, no, that's not what a Zelda is. That's not what a Zelda is. That's not what a Zelda is, and wasn't trying to accept and embrace what it was just trying to be. And so I'd like to still give it that other chance. But at the same time, if they do kind of, there's an opportunity in this, in my eyes, where they could have the dungeons, they could pull those kind of more traditional aspects in, but at the same time still deliver that open world in the middle there that kind of delivers a lot of what Breath of the Wild did. This could be the middle ground that I'm actually looking for here. So I want to see more. I want to see the game actually in action. I think that's the one that's really going to tell me everything I need to know about this game. Obviously, there'll be a lot that they'll hide when they do it. They're going to try and keep as many secrets as they can, but what they'll need to ultimately do at some stage is talk about the structure of the way that the world kind of works and the way that you progress through the game. And so it's when Nintendo chooses to have that conversation that will tell me whether I'm all chips in on Tears of the Kingdom, or whether I'll just get to it when I get to it, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we if we get more information around late February, early March regarding Zelda.
Yeah. Maybe even a Game Awards, like if they went a little bit earlier than that, maybe Game Awards. Obviously they've been chummy with Jeff in the past. In fact, that's where they debuted Breath of the Wild gameplay all those years ago. So maybe. But Matto, what do you think?
Well, what you said about Breath of the Wild, because you could try to compare it to other Zelda games. Breath of the Wild was, unfortunately for me, I had played The Witcher 3, then went to Breath of the Wild, and I just thought of it as I have
Shitty
called
Witcher.
it in the past, a shitty Witcher game. And that's all I've compared it to, because there's this same similarities to it, like, I've got amnesia, I can't remember anything, blah, blah, blah. Because the other Witcher games were, well, the first one wasn't that good. But
let's not talk too much about the original Witcher.
No, but same thing, weapon degradation thing, all that stuff. I hated it. That's what ruined the game for me. And Guardians. I hate Guardians. But then I sort of
those clowns can go away and stop harassing us.
But then I was thinking to myself, like, hang on, I swear I was enjoying Breath of the Wild. I was getting that mixed up with Age of Calamity. And I thought that was the much better Zelda game that wasn't made by Nintendo, but it was a bloody good game.
That's definitely not a Zelda game either, but
hey, it had Zelda in it.
I would say that's even less of a Zelda game than Breath of the Wild, but
yeah.
but I follow what you mean though.
I think a lot of people were sort of similar along those lines too, with like when Horizon Zero Dawn came out around the same time as well, because they were playing. Some people enjoyed that over Zelda, and it's sort of, they were trying to compare the two, and you know, a lot of people thought that the mechanics from Horizon were a lot better thought out than Breath of the Wild.
I think in some respects yes, but in other ways there's just not the depth in Horizon that in the original Horizon, I should say, that Breath of the Wild had. And I think there was a degree of different strokes for different folks when it comes to the two and comparing them and picking them. I mean, in a lot of ways, Horizon was very much your paint-by-numbers, open-world, modern RPG. Despite how much I love it, and that was my game of the year that year. Was it my game of the year? Yeah, I think it was. It still, at the end of the day, was what we'd seen from a lot of open-world RPGs up to that point. We just had some cool mechs in it. Whereas it kind of embraced a bit of Monster Hunter kind of at the same time. But Breath of the Wild was really genuinely doing some things different. And as much as it didn't click with me at the time, I absolutely appreciate what it tried to do. It just wasn't what I was looking for when I pick up a Zelda game, I guess. But yeah, I still need to make some time to try it out again and see if I can separate those two and play it for what it actually is, as opposed to what I wanted it to be.
I'm the same as well. I do appreciate some things about it, but the game just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But with that trailer as well, on the old social medias, people were going absolutely nuts for it. I thought, it must have been a really good trailer. And then I watched it, and it ended. I thought, where's the good part of it? All I saw was Link jump out into the sky and climb a wall. That's all I saw. I thought, that's what people are going crazy about? I thought.
People are going crazy because Zelda popped up, but it could have been the worst trailer ever.
No,
people would have
Link popped up. No sign of Zelda whatsoever. Link just...
Right.
Yeah, no. But I just looked at the shield and go, wait, has he got his own shield now? No weapon degradation? I thought, oh, this is looking good. They just jumped off the ledge. I thought I would just... and land on a surfboard of some sort that no one knows what it is.
The logo as well, like it's got the like the Ouroboros logo where the snakes eating the tail of each other, and it could be a sort of like a rebirth sort of thing as well. So Tears of the Kingdom, like when I
even
saw
the sword, even the sword in the logo. If you notice the
Yeah.
Master Sword in the logo, how they've kind of is kind of what you expect at the top, and then it becomes this very different beast towards the bottom half of the blade.
But even like with the name Tears of the Kingdom, like initially I thought before they clarified that, the tears could have a different meaning. Tears is in crying, the kingdom is crying, but also like you've seen in the trailer how there was a separation of different lands and different islands in the sky as well. So it could have been torn apart. So I think they're
Which is
very
where you get where the misinterpretation of tears could come in. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've done something very clever with the name, and yes, they've had to clarify, but I think it's
It's a
going to be
fantastic subtitle. I love the subtitle.
Yeah, they've done very well with it.
I was happy with the trailer, I'll admit. Like, despite obviously still being like having my big questions that need answering, I was impressed by the trailer. It wasn't. You're right, Matto. It wasn't showing necessarily anything off that was overly crazy, but it was a nice tone piece. It was kind of addressing what people wanted, which was mostly to give them the date and to see the game again. And I think now that like this is that big kicking off point. Like this had to happen, and then you just get this explosion of content over the course of the next, what are we, 8-9 months between now and launch.
So as long as they have a presentation saying we've improved the weapon system, you will have my attention. That's all I can say. It's like, I'm listening.
The thing that I dread, and cycling back to our broader, oh my god, 2023 conversation, is that this, like with how stacked the first probably 3 months are, and this kind of even links into your point a little bit, Jamie. Like the May 12 date is great. Like it's great. It's kind of that first half of the year, but it's not in that busiest part that we know of so far, anyway. But I am terrified by the prospect that Xbox and Bethesda decide to drop Starfield in that sort of window, because that's when the talk is that that'll also appear. And then just as a consumer of video games in 2023, I start getting very anxious. Not because I'll have to choose between the two. Well, I'll probably have to choose between the two of them if that does end up being the case. But
See, the thing I think about that is, I think Zelda sells regardless.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with Starfield, Xbox will want to put it somewhere around holiday to try and get as much sales.
They've already announced that that's first half of the year, so it's just that's another one of those that just fills that first half of the year and just upsets everyone.
Could be a late June sort of thing, like around just after E3 or something like that.
Just give Zelda a bit of. I think for me, and to be able to enjoy Zelda like I really want to, if everyone else can just avoid it, and I'm sure a lot of people, like I'm sure there's a lot of developers and publishers that will actively avoid Zelda because it is that kind of God of War, GTA, Red Dead sort of thing that we've seen over recent years, where they put their stake in the ground and almost everyone else avoids it, except for some reason Ubisoft with Skull and Bones and Sonic, having both decided to lob in right on the eve of God of War, but that is one of those tentpole games where I think everyone clears out around it, and so in terms of being selfish and trying to think about my desire to love this game, May 12 might be a good one, and it's away from everything else, and hopefully everyone else stays away from Zelda.
Yeah, hopefully now that everyone knows when it's coming, that is going to provide a wide berth. It's like, all right, let's just give it its time, and then we'll focus on our game sort of later in the year, or maybe in March or something like that.
Yeah. So that's our Nintendo Direct and our State of Play coverage all done there. Has there been anything else that anyone has seen? Because there have been a lot of streams from Konami, Capcom, Square Enix, Atlas, and Sega. Xbox had their TGS presentation. Is there anything that anyone has seen from any of the various different shows that they've taken a liking to?
Well, not a liking to. It was a bit weird. It was on the Xbox showcase one. Is it? I can't remember if it's Power World, the one that just looked like counterfeit Pokemon with guns.
Oh yeah, I've seen stuff for Power World. Yeah, it's sort of like.
I thought it was because like, is this Pokemon? Now just see this thing just pull out a gun and start shooting people. Like, what the hell? And then there's like a cheap looking Lapras just shooting rockets. I thought, what the hell is this thing? And then they just throw balls at it and try to catch the thing. I thought, what the hell?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much a rip-off, but with a
It's
mature
almost a copy
theme.
and paste job. That's almost with guns. That's
Yeah.
pretty much how you look at it. It's like, what was that Pokemon, the open world one? Oh, okay, it started with an A, I
Legends
can't
Arceus.
remember.
Legends Arceus.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it just looked like that. I thought, yeah, just with guns.
I like my knockoffs, Pokemon knockoffs, being more like Temtem.
Temtem.
Temtem. I don't know if you've played that one, but I think, is it out on Switch yet? It's on PlayStation.
I don't know.
Not
It's
sure.
on PC. I don't know. I think it's coming soon to Switch and maybe Xbox. I don't know. Either way. Jamie, was there anything that you took a bit of a liking to that you've seen pop up at all outside of those two streams?
Yeah, nothing has really sort of piqued my interest outside of what's been shown previously. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty more stuff coming, especially leading up to the Game Awards in late November.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot still to come. For me, Konami, of all publishers, is the one that caught my eye because they announced a remaster of the first two Suikoden games from the PS1 era, which I had a great love for. Some really awesome JRPGs from back in that day, and of course it's coming early 2023. But I'm excited to have them back. It's kind of cool seeing Konami doing things. Let's see what happens if they ever have the stones to go near Metal Gear. That'll be a whole other conversation, I think, for a lot of people at that point. But until
Especially
then,
PlayStation fans. Ooh, that's
yeah,
like a big no.
well, I don't know. It'll be a weird one because I mean, you know, Kojima himself is bouncing between PlayStation and Xbox, and maybe some of the hardcore PlayStation guys have they're lighting up or voodoo doll or stabbing voodoo dolls of Kojima these days. I don't know.
Well, he could just do Metal Gear on the Switch, like the old Metal Gear games, because they were on the Nintendo.
Just
That'll be
subvert
it.
everyone
Back
and
in the
take it to Nintendo instead.
That'd be
Yeah.
a big stuff you to everyone.
Like, all right, you two can't get along. Right, I'm taking it to Nintendo.
I love everything about it.
Then Jim's on the
PlayStation,
floor
I'll give-
again. Jim's on the floor crying again because Metal Gear's gone to Nintendo.
and he's still blaming Phil Spencer for it anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
that feels got nothing to do with it.
yeah, he just goes, all right, PlayStation, you can have this Death Stranding quirky ass IP. Xbox, you can have this weird new thing. What was it called again? Or the code name?
Wasn't it abandoned or something? Not abandoned. It was something.
No, definitely not abandoned. That's
That was-
a can of worms. That one.
No, let's not go there.
No, that was ages ago. Yeah, I can't remember what the.
Oh shit.
One of Ryan Betson's favourite games, that is, Abandoned.
Abandoned. It's right there on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. And then, you know, despite all that, okay, you guys can have these new things, but my favorite franchise, I'm working with Konami, and we're taking Metal Gear to the Switch.
Oh, just imagine. Oh, just imagine
Overdose.
that.
Overdose is the game for
that's
Xbox.
it.
That's the code name.
Yeah.
Still not officially named, but code named anyway. All right. Well, I think that's it. We've all I don't think I missed anyone there with their last final game or games to talk about. So we'll wrap that one up. We've cleared an hour. We've had a lot to talk about. We've gone about as long as those two streams combined. So good on us. Now, if you actually want to watch them, make sure to go do so if you haven't already seen them. Jamie, thanks for coming aboard, mate.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great to have this discussion with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, whenever something Nintendo goes on, I think we're at the point where we can just guarantee that Jamie will be here. And that's a good thing. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, I think there's some stars that need to align on.
So it always lines up on school holidays. Every time something Nintendo comes in, it's just
it's a bit of a coincidence.
It's a bit of coincidence, that one.
I'm just pulling the strings around in the background, you know, pulling the Nintendo Directs around school holidays.
Just to be clear, everyone, he's holding a knife in Doug Bowser's back. And Miyamoto.
I thought he was there
talking about. Oh yeah, he could be. He's got him locked down there. I must say, I didn't see Doug Bowser during the stream. Maybe he's trapped in Jamie's basement. Is that what you should? Anyway, we'll wrap things up there. If you enjoyed this episode of Patch, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit that notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes patched Player 2 plays. Fuck, I did it again. Patched Player 2 plays, Gamer School, and a whole bunch more. There's some awesome... I haven't recorded Player 2 plays in so long because I've been flat out lately, and I still managed to stuff it up. Anyway... Lots of awesome stuff there, so please subscribe and go and check it out. Visit the website, player2.net.au for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series, Patch, to the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks, lower tiers, early access, higher tiers, monthly episode exclusives, and finally, Twitter. Matto.
Matto_Phil.
Jamie.
At Jamie Penningh.
It's right above his head if you're watching the video version. Matto's, I'm not saying the same thing because I've just decided to delete his from the screen. Anyway, Paul James Games for myself. The website is player2au. Again, thanks, Jamie, for coming along. Everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. I guess tune in for another Jamie episode during the school holidays because that's when Jamie will have spoken to Doug about it. See you later.